So, cheer me up, babe.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Huh? Zappuccino.
All right, well, we're back. We are now back. All right, so
Just like
yeah, we'll get to all that in just a few brief moments. 1 second.
just like the are we actually on?
Yeah, sure.
I can entertain.
No, we're good. I had a cough. Just touch on what's going on in baseball. Not a whole lot, really. Just rumors flying around left and right. Soto's probably gonna get traded somewhere. Ohtani's eventually gonna sign with somebody. We're thinking in December, likely.
Us.
I think today, which is what, the 28th, 29th. Today's the 29th of November. Is the 2-year anniversary of signing Corey Seager. So you know.
Hey.
Good job.
Yeah.
Hey.
Good.
And you know how else we're gonna celebrate that? By signing Ohtani.
Yeah, you know, it's
Well,
it's
that
still
was part of what I was going to talk about. Is ESPN put some juicy information out about what the Rangers would be getting into if they were the ones to get the deal. Basically,
the luxury tax.
We know what the Rangers deal is going to be. Do you want me to tell you the Rangers deal?
Yeah,
now,
go ahead.
Or you want to give a little more?
Yeah.
So, ESPN is strongly reporting in this case, in my opinion, that if they were to sign Ohtani, that the deal would be kind of a weird 10-year deal, and it would be like a deal that would lock them into $50 million annually in the first 5 years, but then would only be another $50 million a year contract afterwards should he meet other incentives.
So it would be incentive laden in the back half of the deal.
Right.
And the
Okay.
Mariners did something similar, I think, with what's his name, Julio Rodriguez.
That was the other. That was the example they gave.
Theirs is probably a little more complicated just because he was a rookie when he signed it, and so there's still more years there. Hey,
I think they said actually it was the opposite. Maybe it was a little easier for them because of the rookie thing, but it did.
I mean, yeah, for sure, and he wasn't. He was not.
It's not.
He didn't have the whole league. Yeah, he wasn't Babe Ruth, so.
Yeah, he's not this guy, and it's weird because it's this guy. And he's half of his skills he can't use for a year, so it's kind of this other.
Yeah, for sure, and we don't really know what the future of that looks like either. You know, that's kind of up in the air still.
Yeah. So either way, it didn't really suggest by any means that the Rangers are the leaders in the clubhouse. I think my standing point.
No one knows. No one knows at all.
For me, it's very simple in my method of thinking. I would love to talk myself into it. I think there's no reason why we shouldn't be in the bidding and at least have him tell us no. At the end of the day, I really feel very strongly that he's going to stay on the West Coast just because it's so much easier on his life and he gets to make nice money. There's better organizations. I really think the Giants are low-key a smart move for him if he does that.
I mean,
both franchise and player. That's a good.
The Dodgers makes the most sense. Just
Dodgers
in general.
is easy. But Dodgers, I would be worried if I was the player about just getting a little bit better of a version of the Angels, where it's like a more competitive Angels.
They're way more. Significantly. They've won World Series in the last 4 years. You know, I mean, they're not.
I agree, but that World Series is not. I'm not saying it's a bubble World Series. I'm saying it's a one time they converted with a many opportunities to convert that they've failed spectacularly.
That's true, but they're there. I mean, that's way different than what
true. That's what I kind of mean. Is that I take them seriously to contend. I don't ever take them seriously to actually win
it all. Yeah.
Maybe, but I mean, you add him, and all of a sudden, you know, that's I don't know.
It's fair.
It doesn't fix their pitching issues, though. Not yet. Not for that. Not
actually just got to see Dodgers Stadium from up in Elysium Park, which is the hills above it. And
that's cool.
Crazy. It's also an old ass ballpark. It looks like.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're still building off the original one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I don't know if they built the new one ever.
I mean, I love that idea. It's just
I like it.
Not much else room, and that's But it's a beautiful scenic view. I guess you can see the Elysian Park when you're looking at from the batter's view. But anyway,
I've only seen Dodger Stadium from the parking lot view because I was there for a music festival, and it said at Dodger Stadium, and then no, it wasn't. It was in the Dodger Stadium parking lot,
When you were
That's
there,
amazing.
which is a massive parking lot. I don't think
Yeah.
I've seen a parking lot that
Yeah.
big in my entire
It's
life.
huge.
That thing is ridiculous.
It's basically that parking lot. Then the Elysium was all those little hills to past that,
Oh.
and that's just all that little area. And honestly, we talk about how crazy DFW like exits and highways are to navigate. The area around Dodger Stadium might be the most chaotic piece of land I've ever been on in my life. Like, dude, they had a stop sign to enter a major highway.
yeah, I've seen that there. And I would say, what I would say is anywhere
I was blown.
anywhere you don't live, you think it's crazy. Because San Antonio has some of those too, by the way.
A stop sign to enter a
A stop
freeway
sign to
is
enter
nuts.
a major freeway.
Yeah.
A major freeway.
Yeah, it's nuts. I would just say anywhere you don't live, you'll think this is nuts.
You basically just have
But
to
that
wait
is
for an
nuts in
opportunity and gun it. And you just have to know that the locals know this, and you just have to find that little gap, and you just go.
It works. I mean, yeah, you look at
Crazy.
other countries where there's basically no driving laws and they get it done. So
Yeah, I guess it's like
They also have-
it's
Thailand.
just different.
Never
It's just a
mind,
whole
we're gonna
different
go down a
game.
complete rabbit hole, but
Yeah.
I agree. And I derailed this enough.
No, that's
the
fine.
Ohtani
I
thing, that
mean,
was all I was gonna.
that's really all that's going on in baseball is people speculating about Ohtani and
Yeah.
Whatever. The Rangers gave out their team awards for the year, and I haven't looked at them yet because I don't know.
Hey, you know what?
I'm
Keep celebrating, guys.
Yeah, I'm still just trying to process all of what happened there. I'm still getting merch that I ordered like piece by piece in the mail.
Hey, when do the gold jerseys become official? Do we know if they're just fan edits at this point?
I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean?
So the MLB's not doing a thing every year where they give gold
No,
jersey
I think
or-
at least what they did this year, I think what they've moved to doing is doing like a gold trim jersey type
that's
thing.
fine.
But
I'll do
yeah,
that.
it'll be something like
Fuck
that.
I want to know when those drop. That's when I'll get mine.
Probably not till spring. I would think not till they wear them actually. Probably so.
And then any thoughts on the only Ranger free agent I've been able to see other than Ohtani is Bill Hader's cousin. Josh Hader? Josh?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
from I know what you mean.
just like with most
Just a
other
reliever.
leagues, you're kind of waiting on dominoes to fall before anything else does, and nothing's really going to happen again until December when they have their the actual winter meetings or whatever.
I guess I would be interested
Like,
to
there's
see
talks.
what a contingency plan would be
It's
for
all
the
talks,
Rangers
but-
if they did not. If the big move was Ohtani doesn't say yes, then you're still like, I know we can save money because we have a lot of people to pay, but also greed is good.
Yeah, and I couldn't begin to tell you what really would work for fixing the bullpen as far as who you can just go grab right now. Yeah, I feel like bullpens are such a crapshoot. I'm sure someone knows what they're doing there, but I've never seen it work here.
I feel like Big Boy Monty's back. This is what I'm leaning towards, but that we don't have to go in far.
Maybe, and I would love to have. I would be happy to have him back because yeah, you don't know what you're gonna get out of Scherzer and DeGrom.
We need somebody to eat some innings, if nothing else.
Yeah,
Even if
and
he's inconsistent in the playoffs.
who knows how many more years Perez can come out there and can go out there and grab your innings too. So there's definitely questions. It's a weird position. I've never been in this position as a fan of a team where you won. So it's like, okay, well, you can go retool and that's fine. Do whatever you want to do. Like, well, we won.
Title defense season, prove it's real, dynasty. It's all on the cusp
Dynasty
now.
is what you're hoping for now. I mean, at this point, you've opened the door, so you might as well step on through. But yeah, that is gonna require some bullpen fixing and some starting pitching fixing as well. Yeah, but that's probably all we got for baseball this week. Dallas Stars chugging along. They've dropped a couple of nice. They dropped a couple of games by playing pretty sloppy.
3 out of 4.
But they're still mostly getting all the points they need. It's kind of just a coast right now. You'd like to see more out of the top line. I don't know. It's tough to speculate on what's going to happen this season with them. Just outside of they got to get in the playoffs and see where they're at come April, May, June. But it's really fun to watch. They're an incredible team to watch. It's frustrating because it's sports, so it's always frustrating, especially in such a low scoring type game. You're not as happy as you're going to be in like a basketball game where your team just is going to score 100 points, so it's going to feel good for a lot of that probably. It's a little different, but I think they're a special team, and I think that they're man, if they're not in the Cup final this year, I'm going to be really shocked. So that's kind of where I'm.
For you, right?
Yeah, you're.
I sit there building on multiple years of success and a young core and a good group, but we still want to see, more than we want to know what the Rangers are going to do next. We really want to know who is the next DFW team to take the title seriously, right? Cowboys are in whatever position. They're as good a position as they've been throughout most of my life, which isn't necessarily that great, but it's technically true. The Stars seem like they're at the precipice of putting together a multi-year program, young or older. It feels like if there's anybody that can replicate and capitalize on this championship window for the city, the energy in the city, maybe someone can replicate Boston. I pray it happens. You know what I mean? I think Boston maybe is the most like positive sports city decade
in our lives for sure. Yeah.
But it maybe will ever happen, other than like maybe early years where things were just dominated. But you know what I mean? This is like in the modern era, Boston sports it was insane what they were able to do. But it would be cool to just see someone in any other city. Our city just happens to be sort of in this point where all four teams have their shit together enough to where it's plausible.
Yeah, and I mean we're one of maybe 4 or 5 areas that even have that could do that have 4 teams.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. I would say what LA and because they had the Lakers, the Dodgers. They had the Rams win within.
LA did just have a moment. Yeah, they had a good year in 2020, but then everyone gets to just COVID year the LA people to death.
And it helps with them having 2 teams in most leagues, if not.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
But the way the fan bases unite is always funny to me in both of those New York and LA markets.
It's the worst.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a rare opportunity, so it'd be fun to see. I'm excited I hope they stay healthy. And the only question I have to ask you is there any need for reuniting with former Dallas star Corey Perry?
Probably not. He hasn't exactly been impressive on the ice, and he's old, and he's
been impressive off the ice, baby. Him and Zach Wilson got to be buddies.
Well, we don't know. We don't know anything about it. There've been some pretty hot rumors. Corey Perry got released from the Blackhawks. The team said it was for a conduct violation, and they also stressed that it did not involve any employees or players or their families. And yeah, who knows? It honestly sounded pretty similar to when the Stars fired Jim Montgomery, which sounds like getting drunk and making an ass of yourself one too many times, which is something I can relate to. So if that's if that's what that is, then I'm sure someone might pick him up. But again, he's pretty old and slow, so I'm not sure what's gonna happen with him.
I wanna stress that he's old and slow on the ice, just on the ice.
We don't know, and I don't want to be rumor monger, especially because we literally don't know. So who knows? You don't want to be making a joke of something that you just it's scary. I know.
Just a bit.
I know.
I agree. And Stephen A. had a great segment about a situation that I'll have to talk about again on the Hoopla this next week, where there's a situation where there's a lot of bad news that doesn't have a lot of good reporting or solid facts, and you don't know how to talk about it in public and in the basketball world, obviously. So
he wasn't talking about the Gaza Strip or.
Well, you would think maybe, but no, this one was.
It sounds like that's what he's like ramping up to, and then he's just gonna drop. And Draymond Green was strangling someone today.
So actually, dude, he gets into sex talk apparently. So Stephen A.
lot.
That's wild.
Stephen A.
So
does?
who knows?
Stephen A. talks about being
Gaza.
horny a lot. It's really weird.
He might have the power to talk about Gaza. The only
Oh,
man
and you
in
know
America.
what? We didn't talk about this in our football talk earlier. That I meant to bring this up. So I'm gonna bring it up now. The horniness level of the broadcasters watching Dolly Parton was concerning.
The horniness level in sports right now is concerning. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Kim Kardashian are geniuses, but this Skims
Oh, is that
commercial
a,
I
is
see
that a
in
thing?
NBA. Yeah, so Kim Kardashian runs Skims. Skims is now the official underwear of the NBA.
Oh,
The NBA
okay.
now has a commercial that runs every single national broadcast that is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in underwear. And it just goes up and down his body and does have a very slow, weird shot above the crotch.
That's pretty cool. Have you seen this thing that they're doing? I guess,
Amazing.
or I guess they did this on the Black Friday game, where some of the ads were just like specifically targeted towards whoever you are signed into Prime,
Oh,
and it's like a
yeah,
QR
that's
code to a
amazing.
product that it would recommend to you normally,
I'm not surprised, but no, I didn't.
and that's. And we'll get to, man, there's a lot of stuff. I think this might be a transition point unless you had more Corey Perry questions to ask me.
No, I'm done with the core. Oh, I did have one last thing.
Yeah.
Googled the image of him because I didn't remember that well, right? Not too un-Delonte West like. It just you look at him, he kind of looks like maybe you can see him having a good.
Oh my
time.
God! I just googled the eyes.
I don't know what to do with that. I'm just saying. It seems like I don't. It feels like. Yeah, that's it. That's all. That's all.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what to do with that.
Delonte, just remember Delonte, and if you don't, then it'll dawn on you later. Maybe.
Yeah. No, I know.
It's fine. Again, rumor mongering is bad, and we don't want to do that.
We're not doing that, by the way. This is
Also,
just a
an
bit.
unconfirmed story with other people that we might have related to.
Yeah.
Lots of unconfirmed stories in history.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I mean,
it's all just part of one elaborate bit.
yeah, that's fair. We did have Ron Rivera winning a bunch of fights.
We did. Gotta commit to the bit.
Well, I forgot what my cool transition that I just came up with was, but I don't think it makes sense 'cause I don't think it actually followed the rundown, which means that I'm going to awkwardly run us into college football talk. Is that where we're at? Is that where we're at, guys? Everybody?
College football.
Here, actually, real quick, I'm gonna
Dressed up for the sitch.
pause this for just 1 second. All right, it's time to talk college football.
Football.
We're going bowling. Playoff bowling.
Yeah, so this week we get it was rivalry week in some conferences. It's all weird now, but just like has been for the last month, basically everyone at the top took care of business, which is bad news for the burnt orange that I and Bethke are sporting right now. Kind of on the
Yeah, I didn't
outside,
get the memo.
kind of on the outside looking in, and just hoping that a couple things shake our way so we get a shot at the last 4-man playoff. Texas drubbed Texas Tech. Was that was after Thanksgiving, right?
Friday. Yeah, it took over the old A&M slot. The random.
Yeah.
Texas still plays on Friday night. It's a random other Texas rival.
Well, yeah, we used to play A&M on Thanksgiving, which was fun, and maybe.
No, it was always the Friday after.
You sure about that?
Pretty sure it's always the Friday after Thanksgiving. Is Texas? Yeah, because there's no way they would.
I gotta look it up. I don't know about that.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now that I'm thinking about that makes a lot more
want to
sense.
Say, we're sporting this because we're trying to will some good luck into existence.
Uh-huh.
I stay mostly supporting the most powerful college football program that you can't even see in the shot. So I'll just help you right there. This is the future of college football right here, and college basketball, obviously. But we're already the present there.
Mean Green,
The
baby.
mighty Mean Green did win. I don't think it matters for shit for the season, but great for senior night. But I did grow up not rooting for the Mean Green, as you guys might be shocked to learn. I did
What?
not. It was not passed down in my generations of the family to root for the Mean Green. It was passed down to root for the Burnt Orange, the team that I was made to believe is one of the biggest powers ever and deserves to be a power. And yet, I got a pretty good start to my fandom.
Not too bad, right? Not
I
too
went to
bad.
college and shit got ugly quick.
Yeah.
You could argue that you could argue this college was better at football than this college when I was in college.
For one season, at least.
At least one season. No, maybe two. Because it got really bad too. It was
Okay, so I just confirmed it absolutely was on Thanksgiving night. That was before the NFL added the third game.
Oh.
Because I was there,
And
and I was like, it was Thanksgiving, right? Yeah, they probably push it to Friday at some point whenever A&M left the conference,
yeah.
or no, because then they just stopped playing. That's so that maybe the Tech game has always been Friday. That would make more sense.
Well, they used to alternate the games, but either way, it doesn't matter because the Big 12 is dead.
Yeah, well,
That's the truth.
there is a Big 12. It just
No, the Big 12 as we know it is officially over.
yeah, and it's we were kind of all hoping for I say me and my friends who are either basically Texas or Oklahoma fans. We're all hoping for BYU to cause some chaos so we could get Texas and Oklahoma in the last Big 12 title game before they dipped. But
Double overtime game, strip tackle closes it out. Otherwise, the Mormons almost came in clutch.
yeah,
Who's,
and go ahead.
Who's in the? Is this Oklahoma State, Texas? That's
Yeah.
the Big 12
Big 12 title,
game?
yeah.
Okay.
So that'll be Saturday, December 2nd, I believe, if I know my dates correctly, at Jerry World.
Yes,
I kind of looked at tickets, and then I just moved on with my life because I didn't want to spend that much money on it to sit up that high in Jerry World. I'd rather just watch from home. But that should be that should still be fun. It'll be nice to see Texas win the Big 12 on their way out. I'm just going straightforward. I'm not overlooking Oklahoma State. I'm just saying Texas is good. We should win this game, and we got it.
And since we've talked about it, because I agree.
Oh, we saw Arch Manning.
When we're looking at, oh yes, Arch Manning got his start there, and it was fine. It wasn't crazy, but it was nice. It was a fun atmosphere.
Yeah.
It was exciting to see all the
He
other
needed
students
to
being
take
excited.
snaps with 100,000 people yelling at him, and
it just makes people feel better about the future since Quinn has said that he's going to stay, and I think that makes people feel better about that. And I don't think the Texas Oklahoma State game needs a lot of previewing. I think that you pretty much did all you need to here. Like, Texas is a much better team. They should be an undefeated team, and they goofed on that. They should have their shot at redemption, and Oklahoma goofed on that. So now here we are. They have to blow this game out or nothing. That's pretty much it from Texas's standpoint, is win and win fucking massively if you can. I remember when they won the national championship, and yes, I'm going to do that.
70-3.
Oh my God.
70-3 against Colorado.
Was that Joel
Just
Klatt?
absolutely murdered.
Was that who?
Probably.
Was Joel Klatt the Colorado quarterback that year?
I'll look it up while you guys are talking.
I don't even know. That was we all knew Colorado because that was whenever the divisions were so lopsided in the
North versus South. I remember that
it
one.
was so bad. So yeah. Anyway, that was part of it. Because pretty much the only so there's a lot of other games to get to and stuff. I don't know how much.
Yeah, that's Joel Klatt senior year.
I don't know how much you want to jump around to all this stuff. I will say the most important part of at least Texas's perspective of what we'll talk about with the other games. One team has to go. One team has to go. And it can't be just Washington. Most likely. I think that's pretty much the only one that it fucks. Because if Bama wins, it gets dicey. If Bama only wins, I should say, it gets dicey. ESPN does have a playoff predictor if you want to go play with these things. I ran the numbers for if everything runs chalk, right? This is the bad news I need to break to the people. These are the numbers. If everything breaks chalk and all the winners win, Georgia Michigan, 99% chance. Washington, 96% chance. Florida State, 89% chance. Texas, 15% chance. First one out of the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, and they, by putting Oregon at 5, they pretty much said that they think Oregon's better, which is tough because Texas has the better win, and they've got the better common opponent win with Texas Tech. But so yeah, you're kind of even so Oregon wins. I don't see how Texas. I'm not sure how Texas can jump them. So they lose. Texas jumps them. Then Texas.
Washington,
needs,
Oregon basically doesn't matter.
I guess. Yeah. You're right. You're right. Sorry, I was looking
So
at that wrong.
Washington,
So
Oregon is going to take the Pac-12.
you're just hoping Florida State dips and the committee doesn't just decide
there's no
Ohio
way
State
they let Florida
matters.
State get into the playoff, right? Like they lost Jordan Travis. They're not
We'll,
going to get a
we'll
chance.
get to the Florida State thing, but unfortunately the numbers. So they'd be undefeated. That would be
and a conference winner. There's no
Assuming
way
they win.
you can't leave them out.
Assuming they win, right? We're talking about if it went chalk right now. So the first game we're going to see is Washington, Oregon on Friday night. Washington squeaked out the Apple Bowl. Okay, maybe there's a little more fire in that rivalry because of how things are moving with the conferences, but it was not the best performance ever. And then you already pair this with the fact that Oregon probably should have beat Washington the first time around.
Yeah.
So now you just have Washington sort of fucking themselves into a position to be here where maybe they're not that good. I think you could argue Washington and Texas are very similar equals here. And then Oregon, I think, probably should have been the dominant and probably will end up winning the conference. But then, I guess Oregon wins and Texas is in for them. Yeah, that should work. You can look at the playoff predictor and double check me. But if it goes chalk other than Oregon winning, right? Or no, does that fucking put somebody else's?
Well, if Oregon wins, doesn't that put Oregon in, not Texas?
Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Oregon wins because it's Florida State.
Because they put Oregon at 5, so they said.
So, in the order of how people will see this live, Washington, Oregon, Friday night. Texas, Oklahoma State to start the day, which is good for Texas fans because at least you rip the Band-Aid off. Either you fuck it up altogether or you don't feel like you did enough or whatever. Either way, you're going to have to watch a lot of football because Washington, Oregon didn't mean shit. And Texas, Oklahoma State obviously is a formality only in this scenario. Bama, Georgia comes in Saturday afternoon. That's going to have an interesting consequence because Auburn could have easily put this game into a little bit different territory. Unfortunately, Auburn did what Auburn does and let Alabama make up for their infamous shitty play 10 years ago and gave them a goofy walk-off touchdown to win this game. So now Bama can just simply beat Georgia and cause chaos. Or Bama can beat Georgia, basically cause complete chaos. Because then it's Michigan 99%, Washington 99%, Florida State 97%, Texas 55%. So they would get in this scenario based off of the projections. But then Bama's at a 41%. So essentially it's up for discussion way more than Texas, Florida State, according to ESPN, which I question a little bit. But do you guys have anything on either of those games? It's basically Bama, Georgia. I mean, you basically just want Georgia to win just so that there's no weird shit going on. But you should feel all right about them not putting out. They're going to put Alabama and not. I don't think they put 2 SEC teams.
Well, it also seems like they're not going to put Alabama in if they're not putting Texas in because Texas beat them in Alabama. Yeah. But so crazier things have happened, I'm sure.
And that's where we talk about the human element and where I am interested to see if Texas statistically right now, as I said, according to ESPN, 89% Florida State, 15% Texas if it goes chalk. But would that 15% weigh heavily because the human element of this committee or whatever allows them to say backup quarterback, starting quarterback?
I don't think they're going to leave out an undefeated Power 5 conference champ.
And that's fair.
You're just not going to. I'm not saying whether they should or not. They won't do that.
I'll say whether they should or not. They should, for the sake of competitive a quality competitive game, but they won't.
Right.
Because Florida State's going to get smoked without their starting quarterback.
Well, unfortunately, they beat Florida. They were able to survive a pretty shitty Florida team.
Yeah, and I guess that's the
With their
thing.
backup.
It's got to be based on
Or mediocre.
what you
Florida
have
team.
done, not what you're expected to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then, following the chronological, Iowa, Michigan is going to be, well, the Florida State, Louisville, Iowa, Michigan are going to be the last 2 games at night.
No,
Iowa,
Iowa, Michigan
Michigan
is where things could get interesting.
I
can
agree.
only hope.
So this is where one of the ones that could happen. But then I don't think they put Iowa in.
No, they don't.
they
but
would've-
but
they
no,
would've
I'm
put
just,
Iowa
I'm just talking
in.
about bouncing Michigan.
They would
basically-
bounce Michigan out.
Ohio State pissed themselves in a game they could have won. Ohio State had Marvin Harrison Jr. basically deadlifting a dead offense. Great for his draft stock, not ideal for winning the big game. So that's why Michigan's in this position. Michigan's a good team. I pick Michigan right now. I think Michigan will beat Iowa.
Oh, they should, but
They should. They should.
But this is, of course, a chaos scenario.
And here's the thing: Iowa makes things ugly.
this is
Like,
the Big Ten.
they
It's all
drag people-
ugly. Yeah.
Yeah, but they drag their opponents into ugly games, with the exception of like Penn State, who blew them out. Other than that, every game they've played has been tight and just disgusting to watch. And that's kind of what they're banking on to, make it stressful for the bowl committee or the playoff committee.
Yeah, and it all comes back down to it depends on who you're a fan of, obviously, but if you're rooting for Texas, Louisville is your best friend right now. You couldn't be a bigger Louisville fan if you tried.
Yeah. And
It's that simple.
take 4 minutes out of that Oklahoma game, and you pretty much don't have to worry about a lot of these things, but you flex yourself. So that's kind of where we're at.
That is a part of the story, and Texas will have to play in some butt-fuck bowl that they'll probably be pissy about if they win this.
No, I don't think anyone at Texas will ever outwardly have that. Not in the way I've seen that from other schools, but I don't think there's a lot of schools that would do that, and I don't think Texas is one of them. Not this Texas team.
Sark
maybe
knows to take
a
what he
Herman
can get.
team, but
The Herman team was the one who benefited from that, but I feel you. So yeah, essentially that's where we're at. It's an interesting season for the college football year. I think that's been good. The transfer portal's definitely made things more interesting.
well,
There's
yeah,
still-
you say that, but I think counter to that, we've had the same top 8 for like a month and a half now.
Yes, but I'm excited that it's an 8. You know what I mean? We're talking about this many teams being this good is where I'm excited.
Yeah, and it is too bad this isn't the first year of the 12. That would have been nice.
Yes, I agree, and maybe that also helps back up their point.
Although then
Yeah,
you might see Oklahoma get in, and that's like, should Oklahoma be competing for a national title?
I mean, they beat Texas, right? That'll be the argument, and so it's one of those things where I think that
They lost to Kansas.
I think it makes me feel better about the future product that they're trying to sell to us. It's just an interesting pace to get there, and I'm not gonna lie, this has a little 2008, 2.0 vibes for the Texas Longhorn fans. So everyone needs to prepare for the neutral site game not to matter. So that's just the way that the committee's going to decide. They're going to think Florida State's, technically got the better win, but at the end of the day,
I mean, it's fair, and they've already it's a precedent that's been established of if you're an undefeated Power 5 conference champ, you're in. So
I also don't want to make this a woe as me for Texas. at
no,
all,
it's
just
not. I
because
mean,
think that
this wasn't.
Texas team probably isn't winning a
They're-
title this year, even if they get the playoff.
I mean, maybe,
Yeah.
but they're a little ahead of schedule, anyways. So
That's what I mean. It's like I feel like if this Texas team won a title, that's awesome. I'm welcoming it as just as much as the Rangers thing, but it would be just as unpredictable in my mind as the Rangers winning when they started their playoffs. So
yeah, maybe.
I would expect Texas to win, maybe be in the national, maybe get in the natty, but it's just tough now. You're right. This monopoly of Georgia and Alabama and even maybe Michigan this year. I think Michigan maybe has the team that could finally do it this year.
Ooh,
But
I
even
think
then,
their
I don't think
I think their
Michigan's a
schedules,
staying
yeah.
superpower.
I-
I think Michigan just has
I think their
capitalized
schedule is
on it.
weak as hell, and
Yeah,
But
I
they've
think.
got a lot of the stuff that you need when you break it. Like it's not the great schedule, but they've got what you need to win. If they pull it off, I wouldn't be that surprised.
Yeah,
Georgia's so good.
I'm just gonna say on the Georgia thing, it's like it just feels like it's another year of everybody's gonna compete to see who
Can
gets
Georgia
blown
fuck it
out
up?
by Georgia, who gets blown out by Georgia in the title game, because that's what this feels like.
Can
Again.
Georgia fuck it up? I agree. That's my playoff. My official playoff prediction is:
I think-
can Georgia fuck it up?
I
'Cause
think
otherwise-
Texas has the X factor in Sweat that can just haul off and get
at
that.
least an equalizer.
Yeah, get that
equalizer
get
can
that
help
third
you
down
stay in a
sack you
game.
need. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of NFL talent in burn orange these days. It's crazy to see again.
Well, yeah. It got sparse to where there was a year
There's
with
a few years.
with zero.
Yeah, there's some tough ones, but that's pretty much it from the football side of this. The playing side of this, I know that you still wanted to talk a little bit about coaches.
I put that down. I didn't have a whole lot to say. The A&M thing was funny. They announced a coach, Elko, was going to come in, and then
Who we talked about.
the next day that wasn't happening anymore. Some people say it was because of the online
It
reaction.
was Stoops.
Sorry,
was the original.
Stoops
Yeah,
was the original.
was the
Bob
original
Stoops'
guy.
brother from
Yeah.
Mike
Mark
Stoops.
Stoops.
Mark
Stoops.
Stoops.
Mark Stoops in Kentucky.
From Kentucky, yeah. So he had initially supposedly taken the job, and then next day that was no longer happening. People thought it might be the reaction to online or a reaction to the reaction online. Who knows? We never really know what's going on in these situations. And then same day,
He was like, "Isn't Kentucky kind of the
or
same?" job?"
did he just no Kentucky? Oh,
I'm just being
okay.
honest. I'm just being
It
honest.
is, but their fans expect way less.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
He had a couple 7 and 5 years there, and that's like ridiculous. That doesn't happen. So he could have just been using A&M to leverage, who knows what out of Kentucky, or anything could have happened. But he didn't end up there, and then they end up with Elko, who I think is a fine hire.
Because there was an alternate reality. They signed Dabo Sweeney for another big payday. And
I still never thought that was going to work because of his feelings on NIL, but
well, of course it wouldn't. But that was the alternate. That was the most A&M thing they could have done. That's why I'm actually.
no, I think money whipping Lane Kiffin might have been the most A&M thing they could have done. But,
Lane.
but it
Could have,
didn't.
Yeah, Lane would have been a close second. I still feel like
I think they made-
I was hearing Art Briles rumors being passed around, bro.
I
People
think
are
they
wild.
made a good choice for them, which is too
I
bad.
think Elko was an amazing choice.
It's really unfortunate, but should be all
I
right.
agree. I think they got the right guy and a good contract because his contract is basically a normal salary, and except for he makes a lot of money if he actually wins some shit.
Yeah, and that was the thing. So
Good idea,
there's like an incentive for making the playoff, and then an incentive for winning a playoff game, and then an incentive for winning
Coach
the
of
title.
year. Yeah,
So-
coach of the year.
But is it like, do you get like each of those, or is it like
believe so.
when you hit one,
Each
but
of
then you hit the other one, you're only getting that second one, not the combination of the first two?
No, I think you're getting the combination.
Okay. That was just something I thought was kind of interesting with that. And then we've got some other openings that are kind of interesting. Houston's open, right? So that's
Dana Holgerson has been fired.
a spot where you might get to see Traylor, who I was kind of pitching for maybe for A&M. Traylor could step in, and with Texas and OU leaving, all of a sudden recruiting for the Big 12 looks different, and he's your guy with Texas high school ties that's not named Joey McGuire. So
If you're going to try your damnedest to capitalize on this moment as a Texas school, I think so. But I still feel like ultimately TCU has the best advantage in the state. As the non-SEC school,
maybe.
I think that they have the best advantage moving forward.
100%.
But maybe it's a step, into that direction. I just think that
I don't know. I feel like
that.
Houston's been on this proper trajectory where TCU is more of a up and down type thing.
You could argue that.
And also with
convince me.
with the rest of their sports programs as well, and it's being in the east and southeast area of Texas is also
Basically, what
a
I'm trying to say
recruiting gold mine over there.
is Waco and Lubbock. Don't start telling yourself something else.
No, I think Oklahoma State probably thinks this is their conference now, but
Sure, they can. Stillwater can enjoy this moment. They can start to talk about it because they're gonna have the fast track. Kansas State, Manhattan, Kansas, they can get fucking jazzed about it.
but the reason I think Traylor should try to get one of these Big 12 jobs if he can is that how long can you sustain what he's doing at UTSA?
No, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want that to start slipping and then all of a sudden that stock's just gone.
He's honestly, I think the thing is that he's waiting for a different job to open up.
That could be
That lateral
No.
behind 10 yards lateral move.
He's waiting for us to make enough money for me to provide the booster funds that he needs for the NIL deals. Speaking of funds, how much money we would have to raise just to have change to throw at our alma maters here. 118 million has been dished out to fired coaches, or will be dished out.
Oh, okay.
Jeez, being a fired coach is the best gig in America.
Some of the most notable ones we've already talked about a couple of times.
Jimbo.
One that we didn't talk about because it's not a big school, but it's a familiar name. Hugh Jackson fired at Grambling. Hugh Jackson fired Grambling. Likewise, in a funny firing, but also not very prominent, Kirk Ferentz has been the head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes for forever and ever and ever.
Mm-hmm.
His son has been the offensive coordinator, and there's been some controversy over his retention. And it has been named that he will not return next season, but he's still finishing out this one. So there you go for those. That unfortunately for the people needing Michigan to lose, now you have this report coming out that Dad is firing his offensive coordinator's son. But
After the game,
can you hang out with me for a couple more games? Well, they're going to be in a bowl game too.
they're going to fight for it then.
So, just saying, he's not coming back. But
well, I mean, the players are going to fight for him, like do it for this guy on his way out.
Yeah. Well, the best news in college football this week
Bobby Petrino.
It's definitely Bobby Petrino.
I'm glad we talked about it.
He's returning to Arkansas, the scene of the crime, probably one of the 5 most infamous college football moments.
Yeah, and I don't know if we have time to go into the full details, but
basically, my man was having out with a lady on a motorcycle and got in a car accident.
And that lady was not his wife.
And had to have a very hilarious press conference, which I think in retrospect, I kind of give him credit for, because I think a lot of people just do something else now. Instead of put a press release or an iPhone notes apology, he went straight for the podium.
They probably forced his ass onto that podium.
Oh yeah. He was too old to be using social media. So
because let's not forget his time in Atlanta where he just left the note
I was gonna say,
I'm out, bye.
And this happened a while ago.
Yeah.
This happened,
Yeah, the same guy. What did Mike Zimmer call him? Sorry, I'm trying to remember what Mike Zimmer called him after he bailed on Atlanta.
Oh, they all had things to say about him.
Yeah.
Something not nice.
I'll look it up while you guys are talking.
So Bobby Petrino, back in college football, once was the head coach of the mighty-ish.
Okay.
For a night, sometimes Arkansas. Arkansas is a great program. I say that because sometimes they've gotten beaten by great programs themselves.
Yeah, they did.
Well, their biggest donor is also running your
playing college football history, baby.
Their biggest donor wastes too much of his fucking time on them.
Runs your pro football team.
Arguably should spend more time working on Arkansas football.
By the way, gentlemen, the thing that Mike Zimmer said about Bobby Petrino is he's a gutless bastard. So
yeah, very sweet. What a sweet thing to say, and factual.
And yeah, if you have Mike Zimmer on record saying that about you, that's
Mike Zimmer is like easily the most Ned Flanders like human being in real life. Like that guy's always going to be nice and proper, and if you piss him off, very similar. Yeah, very Kirk Cousins. I don't know. Simpsons probably had Simpsons had some dark backstories of them too. I could just see Kirk also coming out with some. You know what I mean? Like, is he using Coles to help channel kids throughout backcountries?
Oh, come on now.
It's a good one.
I don't know. I'm just saying. Never rule anything out.
Okay, Tucker
Is he on the
Carlson.
flight logs?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
All right. Well, that's pretty much college football. I don't think there's anything else that I could bring up other than may the gods be with Texas. And I don't know if you can argue for, is there a better world where Texas just blows the game themselves instead of waiting for it to go chalk?
No. No, we want to win the Big 12 on our way out.
And then live in the 2008 misery forever?
I'm happy to win. I don't care about that. This team wasn't supposed to be this good anyway. So if we can just win the Big 12, let's just do that. And let's be happy.
All right. That's fair.
I'd love to get in the playoff, but it's not up to us.
That's fair. All right. So are we now going to roughly transition to a little bit of hoops before we finish her out?
Yeah, let's
a teensy bit of hoops.
Let's do it like this.
All right. I'm going to also do it like this because you know what I mean.
This is Pass the Rock.
That works. Hoops time. Nope.
I fucked it up. I tried.
He's
And
still
with the first pick in the NBA
he's
draft,
still-
the NBA selects Jacob Bethke.
All right, boys.
Speaking of that style, I saw on Pablo Torre, he had Rob Lowe on to talk about the Magic Johnson tweets.
My mentor.
Rob Lowe always wearing the NFL brand hat.
My fucking mentor. He really started a trend there. I appreciate it. That's my uncle, actually. People don't know that, but you can see it sometimes.
The great Sam Seaborn.
He did say some fun stuff. I had already heard the stories about Pat Riley kicking him out prior. That's pretty infamous.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that. That's pretty funny.
But this Magic Johnson thing, that was important news. We're happy that the people at whatever the fuck Pablo Torre's thing is called again is
Pablo Torre finds out, or Meadowlark.
Yeah. Real hip hop is a future where I see these stupid ass Spotify and Apple Music rap things where they show how much you've listened to podcasts. I want to stop seeing part of
that.
They have it now. It's people are doing this year. Yeah, podcasts are up there now.
I hate all of it, right? Because then we do the same argument every year about who's got what's better and all this shit. But ultimately, I hate it because every time I'm reminded that everyone's still just been listening to the same like 3 podcasts for a decade now. Bill Simmons doesn't watch basketball anymore and still talks like an expert. And Pardon My Take is funny, but like it's just I don't know. I can't hate on Pardon My Take. I hate Barstool, but I can't hate on that show. They got a great formula. I can't deny that. But I want to see in the next couple of years, I want to see this Pablo Torre shit. I want to see real hip hop get a little bit into that top 10 sports feed, you know?
It's fun. I like it. I like him.
I don't need the Kelsey brothers in my life. I don't need that.
I like
Chiefs Eagles fans can enjoy, but everyone else needs to stop listening to that.
I like Levitard, and I'm glad Torrey went over with him. I'm not sure, did Bobani Jones' new thing start? I haven't really checked in on that since I heard it was something.
Bomani does his own thing on YouTube now.
Okay, it's not part of the Meadowlark or whatever.
It's the same show, but it's on YouTube as a part of whatever, I think.
Okay.
No, he's a part of something. I forget who he's under now, but yeah, he's doing his own thing, and it's the same show as he had on HBO, basically, but he's doing it by himself, kind of like YouTube, single guy format, with a little box inside him and all that good shit.
Gotcha.
But yeah, basketball. As far as the news goes and breaking down things, we've had so much to do in the sports world that we also have the hoopla to kind of help get a lot of that need to know information out of there. We're following the Texas two-step here on the main pod for a little while. And the biggest thing that we wanted to do here is highlight the progression of the team throughout the season. But it's getting a little monotonous. We're still in the small sample size of the early season. So I just took one storyline from each group to talk about. And luckily, my Mavericks one went from the bad in-season tournament to something far more interesting. Um, Mark Cuban has sold the Dallas Mavericks, kind of. For the most part, he's sold the Dallas Mavericks. By, by and large, Mark Cuban has sold the Dallas Mavericks. However,
Oh, he definitely
by
did.
and large, by and large, Mark Cuban is still in control of the Dallas Mavericks.
For now.
Also, it's important to note, is because this is real hip hop journalism, this is pending approval. But obviously, this is big news. I'll get the details out because Caesar, I want the local fan opinion. We know you have something to really tee off on. Patrick, I want to give you a little bit of time before he does. But let me just give everybody the nuts and the bolts. Okay. So, speaking of Patrick's, Patrick Dumont is going to be the new name that Mavericks fans are going to need to learn. He is the son-in-law of the lady who is actually financially running all of this stuff. They all are a part of the Sands Casino Group. Don't really want to get too much more into that because I know C's will. So essentially, what we're going to talk about here is Mark Cuban keeps his shares, keeps his control of the Mavericks. The only question I have, and I think most people have, is for how long? My thought is probably as long as he wants it. We'll see. Obviously, that could be something different based on his timeline, their timeline, right?
Yep.
Cool. No big deal. Essentially, what you should read this as is this is a succession plan for the Mavericks moving into what I call the new NBA. The new NBA is money, money, money. We saw, a lot of effort to reach out to Saudi and to the a very rich part of Dubai. You have all these investors that we're going to end up having some interesting conversations domestically about, but ultimately that will eventually be in players in the league as owners. Money is a big part of the CBA. You're going to need it to compete for the long term. You're going to need to have owners with Steve Ballmer like money. And Mark was falling down that list quickly. And I think he knew that as much as anybody because he talked about it a couple times in why he was joining forces. There's also a concern that he raised about the TV rights, and he doesn't quite know what the future of sports watching is going to look like and how profitable it actually will be. Something that kind of is a concerning part of this, if you're a sports fan in general, is how Mark Cuban was a little concerned and how part of him selling is he's feeling like maybe this is the best time to sell more than anything, which could be concerning for basketball fans, sports fans, or it could be nothing. It could just be a smart business move and a timely move. It's just part of his reasoning is what he said. Ultimately, this is going to help revenue for the city in his mind. Ultimately, this is all a part of a plan to bring a casino-like resort to Dallas, as he said multiple times. Funny enough, when he brought it up the last time, he even mentioned this corporation. So the tea leaves were always there. We just didn't quite believe that he would sell. And I think that personally, this was his way of putting pressure on local legislation to actually get gambling moved forward. Other than that, again, how long he seizes control of the Mavericks and what they do is to be determined. I think this obviously opens him up, opens speculation up as well for him to run for office, whether it be president or even something locally here in Texas. I think that it's very interesting to see what Mark will do at this time. I think personally, it's felt like Mark has been done and kind of closer to this route. And as the result, you've seen progress with the Mavericks because I do think that he's always been sort of trying to let this team go a little bit or move on, not quite do the Jerry Jones thing. And it's been a little more obvious over the last year or so that I think he understands that there's more life and there's not a succession plan. He's not trying to give this to his kids necessarily. They're not going to have the money alone to do it, So I appreciate Cuban for understanding it all, and I appreciate him for doing this in a very interesting way that, I mean, you can knock him all you want, but I think this is a good way to transition. I mean, it's similar to what Michael's doing with the Hornets, where he's slowly transitioning that into a new ownership group. even though he sold his majority stake. So just an interesting conversation to be had about the future of governorship in the NBA, but that's another story for another day. Patrick, do you want to just do a quick bit of your opinion before Caesar gets into the local fan opinion?
Yeah, I don't have too much different to add than what you're saying there. You hit on what I think is maybe probably the biggest point, which is the TV rights deals. There's kind of no way that the streaming companies are going to pay them what the cable companies were offering to pay them. And now people like Bally's can't pay them, and so teams are ejecting at the end of the contract. So it looks like that money is going down. He's about to be 65. He's a smart guy. He knows there's more to life than the things that he's been doing for the last 15, 20 years. So yeah, it seems like he's positioning to try to find a way maybe out while still being somewhat involved. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not just a season ticket holder, as a special advisor in the next 5 to 10 years. But we'll see.
That would be the way. And I wanted to put one more note before Caesar starts. This is why I said the succession plan is pretty obvious. So the Patrick Dumont guy, he will be, once this is official, the official governor, the alternative word for owner, the official lead investor, whatever, will be one singular person, that man, and he will be the governor. Mark will be the alternative governor, which is a very common practice. We even had the Bucks who were alternating between a couple people as ownership groups. Every couple of years, they would take turns running it, right? So we've seen some weird, quirky shit in the NBA already. This is just another extension of that branch. So Cuban will be the alternative governor moving forward. Again, I'm assuming as he ramps down and into whatever the next chapter of his life is.
Yeah, and the running for office is it's obviously a popular opinion for a reason. I think he'd be good at that role, at least of being a candidate. I don't know how he'd do it the actual job, but it seems like the candidate thing matters more right now.
Well, he's
for
one
whatever
of the
reason.
better mixes of capitalist and reasonable, like a reasonable capitalist.
Maybe he's
based off of his work, based off of the pharmaceutical company mostly, right?
Sure.
He made money off of people scamming people. You know what I mean? He basically was like, if I just don't scam them as much,
yeah, and
I make
I don't
money
know.
too.
He's an interesting character for a lot of reasons. He's a guy who says he talks a lot, so you're gonna find a lot of spots where he's saying one thing to one person and then not too much later saying kind of something different to someone else.
He's ready for Washington.
Yeah. So yeah, he kind of fits the mold in a lot of ways. But I don't know if that's even something he actually really wants. Because he might see what happens to those guys and be like, I make enough money not doing that. So who knows? There's a lot that could go into it, but it's interesting. I mean, he's owned the team as long as pretty much I've been sports conscious. Would he buy him in like 2099, something like that?
Yep. Yeah. 99, I think.
Yeah. I mean, he brought Dennis Rodman in, probably the smartest first move he could, because then all of a sudden people showed up to games. And he proved
Rodman didn't show up to games.
it didn't matter. People showed up, and he proved that people would come to games, and then that got the ball rolling. And then obviously, kind of looking out, at least listening to Don Nelson a little bit very early.
He infamously bought the team, or at least this is how he tells the story now as an old man. He says that he was a season ticket holder and then went to the game and was so repulsed by the product
Sean
that
Bradley.
Ross Perot had. No, not even just the basketball. Like the whole thing, the way the Mavericks presented themselves, the whole experience. He was so repulsed by it as a sports fan that he literally was just like, I could fucking do this better. And he did.
Yeah.
So at least that's the way he tells the story now. I give him credit for the history is told by the winners. So he gets to tell that story that way, and I believe him because it's more fun that way. But
yeah, and I think the last thing I'll throw in here before we let Caesar do his rant is the group that it's being sold to. You kind of hinted at this. It does have to be approved, And so there is some question of what people around the league are going to think of this kind of situation, what they might think. I think they're probably all they're likely they're
They're gonna be
likely.
they're-
Well, I'm wondering if I wonder what the heat is for someone who's coming in with a reputation of
all
a
I'm
Donald
saying-
Sterling on crack.
All I'm saying is, I'm not denying that.
I don't know. I just don't know how they. I don't know
gonna
how the
have to
other. I don't know how the other governors want to play that. But they're probably
remember
they're probably just looking
that-
at the numbers. So
Just remember the DeVos family owns the Magic. That's a very important part of this. And don't forget that it literally took a actual recording of Sterling to get
fair,
them
yeah.
voted.
And then I lied. There was one other thing that this basically opens up. It could set a precedent to open up the idea of foreign entities buying teams and allowing, and then you.
Well, they've already.
I think they've got some pretty strict stuff against that, right? Like this would be the first.
This was the first year they allowed partnerships outside of it. It's still fairly restricted, but you could still start doing that as of this year.
Yeah, but maybe it has to do with the
Majority, no. Probably not.
the majority, and then who's running
No.
the team and all that. So yeah, it's interesting stuff. It's definitely setting up what the future could look like if it all goes through, and they might make them tweak it a little bit to tighten things up. Who knows? We don't know
And
the final details yet.
As far as the gambling aspect of this, let's not forget, as much as I don't like to remember this part of history, it is a part of it that, Scott Foster was one of the people who Tim Donaghy contacted the most. And Scott's still the biggest name in refereeing history at this point. So
Yeah.
it's the NBA is performative at times. And it's just a part of the nature of the beast. At the end of the day, you should understand it's a company making moolah. The progressiveness of the NBA is in not this logo, in the player.
I was gonna
Those two
say
guys
it's
just above
also
me,
it's also
those are the
dictated.
progressive people, not the logo.
It's also dictated by the advertisers, and so they do have to
Yes.
consider that before they make deals.
Yes. So shit talks, money walks, and that's the reality. But Caesar, we've talked enough about all the general sports fan aspect of this sell. We need to know, how does the local fan feel about a future, maybe not a near future, but a future without Mark Cuban is now set in stone and in place for whatever that future will be.
Right. So with this, I think there's a lot of mixed feelings about the sale. First and foremost, it feels like the end of an era, right? Mark Cuban can come out here and say, "Hey, I'm still going to be in control of basketball operations," but like you guys have, hinted to before or just alluded to before, for how long, right? For how long are you going to be in control? Most Maverick fans my age, all we really know is Mark Cuban. Yeah, Ross Perot was there, but like if you were born in the '90s, growing up, you really only know Mark Cuban and the success that he brought to the franchise, right? He helped build two teams that went to the NBA Finals, the 06 team, the 11 team, right? That 11 team bringing it home, and it was just a euphoric moment, right? And since then, it's been a lot of mediocrity, mostly because of his own doing, right? The way that he mismanaged free agency, mismanaged roster building, post-title team, and we would still be in that situation if he didn't luck into Luka Doncic. So for as much as I think most fans are grateful for that 2000s run from when Dirk started to become a superstar, while still kind of being the second or third guy in the trio of Finley and Nash, to where he was deadlifting the team, where he was the star. There was no other person in their prime around him, right? Cuban oversaw that. He oversaw many different constructions of the roster to try to fit Dirk as best as possible. And then after that, just fumbling. It's like almost he felt like he was out of touch with what the NBA product was doing. And so the frustration really grew right? At least on my end, right? I feel like I speak for a good portion of Mavs fans that felt like we're frustrated with you, man. You're so into Shark Tank. You're so into all these other outside ventures. What happened to the Mark that was on the court side, yelling at the refs, just being a fan like the rest of us, right? Like, what happened to that guy? And so you fast forward, he's doing great. Yeah, the team's kind of up and down, but you know that there is a foundation there for success, and he's been part of that. And now it's like, oh, Mark, you're leaving us, really? I mean, yeah, you're not leaving us now, but you gave up 57% of your shares of the Mavs. And yeah, like you guys said, he's getting older. He's not. We know he's not going to be here forever. Now that he's transitioning into this role, so I think there's going to be a lot of processing from a fan's point of view of what he really meant to this franchise, what he brought to this city when it comes to basketball. Because under the Pro family, there's no way. There's no way. This is still a joke of a franchise under their leadership. And I think most Mavs fans are going to appreciate the passion that he brought. It may not have always been pretty. It may not have always been something that you can hang your hat on, especially in that 2012 to 2017 range. It was just a lot of mediocrity, basically everything, pre-Luka. But we're gonna say thank you when he finally steps away for that 11 title team, and if Luka's able to bring a title before he steps away, we're gonna be appreciated because this is something that I think some, not all, Cowboys fans may want to see from Jerry, which is a graceful transition to the next era of ownership. Now, of course, with the Jones family, it's going to stay in the family, right? This one, it's going to a different family, right? The Adelman family, Dumont family, which do want to say something about in regards to them and what it all means going forward for the Mavericks. But just for the fan perspective and how to feel just about the sale itself, I think it's right now it's mixed, and I think later on, depending on how this goes, it may be a positive outlook, right? Because this family's going to have more money, to be able to take on the luxury taxes, to be able to build around Luka in a way that maybe Mark just didn't feel comfortable. Maybe he just didn't feel like he could afford it. So maybe one day it'll be like, thank you, Mark. Thank you for setting us up with the best possible transition plan. Or maybe it'll be like, Mark, why'd you do this to us? So right now it's up in the air. I think, me personally, though I say I have mixed feelings, I lean more towards the positive end. Because again, that's the first championship for our sports team that I ever personally witnessed. And I'll never forget it. So for that, thank you, Mark. That's what I got to say on that. However, gentlemen, I hope you allow me the opportunity to kind of dig a little bit deeper into what this all means from a legislative perspective and what it means for the future of the city. If that's all right with you, I'll go up. Beautiful. All right, listen to me, everybody. There's a deeper, darker criminal link. Not really a deeper, darker criminal link, but there's a lot of interesting things that we were alluding to, or Bethke and Patrick were alluding to earlier. And that is, this is being sold to the Allison family who have made their fortune off the Venetian and other casino gambling properties. Texas does not have any legal gambling in terms of casinos. Do you have horse race bets? There are casino cruise ships, but they have to conduct all their business in international waters. There are some federal Indian gambling establishments. There's 3 in the state. That's it. This state is notorious for not having any gambling. If you want to gamble, you either have to go to Louisiana if you're in South Texas, or if you're in North Texas like we are, you got to go up to Oklahoma. Why is that? Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick mostly is the reason for every House bill being denied. In April, gentlemen, House Bill 2843 would have permitted casino gambling in Texas, and House Bill 1942 would have legalized online sports betting, according to the Texas Tribune. Gentlemen, I want to bring up something to you guys about this legislation. There is one huge, major backer, one huge major lobbyist in this entire uh, ongoing attempt to legalize gambling here in the state of Texas. And you know who that is? The Las Vegas Sands Company, who is now going to own the majority shares of the Dallas Mavericks. Why would Mark Cuban, why would the Adelson and Dumont and now Dumont family participate in the sale of the Dallas Mavericks to an entity that has made their fortune on gambling? Mark Cuban has said he wants the Dallas Mavericks new arena to be like around the center of
Weird.
a casino resort style location. Why would you do all this if not for the fact that in the near future legislation is going to pass for legalized gambling in the state of Texas? These are the 5D chess moves being pulled by the Dumont, Adelson, Sands Corp, and Mark Cuban. And you may be wondering, well, how does this affect the city? This is going to affect the city greatly. All right. If they go for a downtown arena, you are going to have probably other than whenever Las Vegas has a team, right? A major casino attraction in downtown Dallas, where the Mavericks will play, probably the Stars too, if they follow suit and abandon the American Airlines Center. You are bringing in so many reasons to have people come in and watch Mavs games. Sports betting, right? The casino aspect after the game, hit the casinos. Before the game, hit the casinos. You are trying to drive up revenue. So from like a local political perspective, that's what this is all about, right? It's not just about Mark Cuban wanting to transition, and it's also about, hey, Mark Cuban may want to get in on this. Mark Cuban might want to get in on this casino business and better increase his portfolio. And now I did mention to you guys, this has a personal effect on my life. And very selfishly, I'm happy that there is a chance that casinos will finally be legalized in Texas. And not because I want to gamble. No, that's because for the last 8 years, ever since I owned my first car, every week, 50 weeks out of the year, I've had to drive my mom to Windstar World Casino because she doesn't want to make that drive herself. So all I have to do is put her on the dart or just drive 20 minutes downtown. Fuck it. Bring it. Make the sale happen, Mark Cuban. You are saving me 2 hours of my week every week for the remainder of my life. So thank you for that, Mark. Bring the casino to Dallas. Bring it so I don't have to go to Windstar ever again.
I definitely did not think that's where we were headed with that at all. I didn't know where it was
I thought
headed,
we were about
but
to have an imminent domain.
I didn't know where we were headed, but that was not it. That was good.
Thank you. That's all I have on that, guys.
That's beautiful. Yeah, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. The Mavericks are under new ownership, and this is great for the future of the Luka Doncic era, which I think officially has just really hit its first serious window of at least being in the realm of true contention. I mean, this season, this team is a little mediocre at the moment.
Yeah, and you know what? I've just now realized that I didn't even consider what this means for them keeping him as far as having the money to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's Caesar's talked about it. I mean, it's the luxury taxes are going to get fucking hard, and if you're going to try to compete annually with Luka, you're going to have to pay top. I mean, look at all the LeBron teams. Have they ever been cheap? Like, they've always been maxed out for the most part.
We also have to consider
use all your money.
We also have to consider Kyrie and his pretty loud views that might contrast with his now current ownership. But
Kyrie probably doesn't contrast as much as people would think.
Well, I mean,
I think he does and he doesn't.
Yeah, if you just read the letter of the word, it would. But yeah, I think when the check's clear, he's probably not too concerned.
But yeah, so it'll be an interesting transition for all of us. It does feel weird. I mean, like I said, it feels very, very weird. since Caesar mentioned it, yes, as a Cowboy fan, it'd be nice to just automatically transition to Steven, but it kind of happened. It just happened in a weird, goofy way that, of course, Jerry didn't actually give anything up, but he low-key kind of did. It was basically like he did the Jimmy Johnson speech. So you kind of got that. And then, of course, it's never going to hit as hard because it's the same damn thing. So, but it is weird. It's just as a sports fan to see one of the most notable owners in all of professional sports start his transition out. It makes you feel very old, if nothing else. And then that's pretty much it for the Mavs stuff. There's plenty to get into as the season unfolds. Like I said, the Mavericks are kind of mediocre right now, is what I would say. The record's fine, but they're just kind of mediocre as far as a team. I think that they look like they've got a lot of awesome abilities to make moves in this end season. We'll see how much they're able to actually do that. They got really lucky when it comes to the makeup schedule. So basically the in-season tournament they are not a part of. What's about to happen this next week in Vegas. But that's good news for Mavericks fans because of that, they got reseeded into new games. And of course, those games we weren't going to know until all the seeding was done. So their 2 games they picked up were Portland and Detroit. 2 really bad teams is what I remember. Maybe it wasn't Detroit, but it was 2 of the worst teams in basketball is who they picked up. Essentially. Maybe it was Utah. Maybe it was Portland and Utah, actually. Either way. That's pretty much it for Mavs fans. The Spurs side of our Texas two-step is not going to take very long. And really, Patrick, it's all up to you on how much you really need to go into this, which I don't think you'll have that much of an opinion on, but I do want to at least ask.
The pop stuff?
I want to at least ask you with the pop stuff. I think the only thing I want to talk about as far as before we do that is they still suck.
Mm-hmm.
Point Sohan is so not working, but Pop is just either stubborn or tanking or
yeah. I mean, what else are they gonna do? What are their options there? I don't think they really have any.
The best part is now that we're having a bigger sample size, you can tell that the analytics-driven fans are looking at the Trey Jones, Wembanyama minutes and how much better they are than anything else, and now they're starting to go crazy. It's just getting funny in that realm. But yes, the most and the final thing with the Spurs, please stop putting them on national television. We get it. He's tall. We get it. We get it. They do. This is not a national televised team. I understand, but Paulo Banchero didn't get this kind of love, and this kid is massively good and was last year and is again this year.
Well, he wasn't the next LeBron, so.
But he should have been if you actually watched and care about the scouting. He has just as much of a shot to be the next LeBron as Wemby. It's just one of those things that people are wrapped up in a lot of stuff with Victor, and it's for good reason. But ultimately, we get there's a lot of good players in the NBA. You know what I mean? And so it's Victor's another part of it. It's super exciting. Let's get him on national television. Let's not black out the Spurs like we have the last few years. But at this point, I've seen enough. Of
opening night would make sense, and then I don't know, maybe pick one other in the second half of the year just to see where he's at.
And I'm also talking about. I'm basically really looking at NBA TV because they're the.
Oh, well, that doesn't even count.
But that's still That's part of the national broadcast.
Yeah,
basic nationals. That's a part of your rotation, and for me as a league fan, I'm let's make sure we're putting the better teams out there, guys. Come on.
No, I feel like that's exactly what NBA TV is for the games that aren't for the casuals.
That's the old thing. We need to broadcast good content. Moving into this new TV deal that might rely on the NBA more than ever, please, for the love of God, focus on good content. Yeah. And they have. The Spurs have gotten flexed out of some games. There's been some teams getting flexed out. Memphis has gotten flexed out. The Mavs actually took an L on a national game because of Memphis. But anyway, yes, ultimately, Greg Popovich, Kawhi Leonard came back for however many at the time, got booed like crazy. Not unsurprising. Spurs fans very ungrateful. I'm just kidding. Spurs fans obviously not psyched about how all that went down still, despite having a championship. to see for what he did. But again, I get it. Not the greatest exit ever. So gonna boo.
It's the uncle
Pop
thing.
doesn't like it. Pop stops the game, which I'm pretty sure has never happened in the modern era. Probably happened plenty back in the day. In fact, I'm sure Red Auerbach probably had to tell some of the Boston faithful to use better wording so they didn't lose players back in the day. But ultimately, Pop asked the Spurs fans, it really demands the Spurs fans to stop booing. Says, we're a better organization than that. We're a classy organization. And the Spurs fans continued to boo. They booed Pop after that. They booed Kawhi even harder after that.
Good.
And, ultimately, this doesn't matter a ton. I think a lot of this can be reasonably attributed to Point Sohan. No offense to Jeremy, by the way. Jeremy's still a talented player. Just for the love of God, put someone else on the bench or put him on the bench. Point Sohan, I think, is really starting to take a mental toll on Spurs Nation because they want this Wembanyama thing to go great quickly. And I think the organization maybe driving the tank a little bit.
The organization might be smarter than the Twitter fans that are.
I'm not saying
that are
that's
booing
wrong,
after 20 games. Yeah, who knows?
The fans deserve to have their opinion heard.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's fine.
That's
but this is a November story. So is Point Sohan. They're all in the. This won't mean any.
Point Sohan maybe a whole 2023, 2024 just because Pop is that stubborn.
Maybe, but I don't know. It's nothing. No one's actually mad at Pop, and it's all good. Anyone who's mad at Pop is just they're just mad. So
that was just really some soft shit from Pop. That to me that's soft. Like what? They've booed him before. There's nothing.
There's nothing wrong
Pop
with.
Is a steward of the franchise, and he's gonna act like he gets in Spurs fans' asses a lot. Like if you ever have press conferences,
I expect him to say things, and I want him to say things.
But mid game.
Yeah.
Mid-game,
it was crazy for him to grab the PA. To grab the PA.
Yeah.
That's who he is.
No, but that's crazy. He's never done that before. So to say that that's who he is, that's.
Yeah, he might be getting closer to
he's legend
than we realize. He started to do shit
Yeah.
that you just
he's full legend
anymore.
Yeah, but that's still some shit.
He's already in the hall.
It's Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick wearing cutoff hoodies.
Like, bro, do you not know your fan base? No fan base is doing that.
No. Pop is playing politics. He knows that's for Kawhi only, and I appreciate that. I think that he also knows that if he's alive and to see it, that eventually the number 2 will get lifted into the rafters, and that he'll be a part of helping.
I mean, it won't.
That branch, and it'll be bygones will be bygones one day, and even Spurs fans will sit there. Remember what he did to LeBron? And it'll go away.
Again, I think you're again responding to the vocal minority. I think most fans are like, yeah, okay, we're past all of that now.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
But you get a bunch of drunk people in an arena.
Basic sports.
You get a bunch of drunk people in an arena. They're gonna boo and they're gonna boo together. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with Pop being like, hey guys, shut up. That's also cool too.
No, I think that's soft shit, but that's just me.
All right. Well, when you've won 5 rings, you go ahead and.
You can be Charmin Ultra. I get it.
And you can terrorize
the
franchise player.
The guy who spent the last year crying about the 49ers comments going to come in here and talk to me about Pop.
No, they've been crying about our comments. They've been crying about us.
Sorry, the guy who's been crying about other people crying about.
Exactly. Yes, correct yourself.
What a spicy way to wrap things.
No, but it's I don't think the Pop booing thing is going to have many legs.
Oh, dude, this is gonna be like this is gonna be forgotten about
tomorrow before we even record our next episode.
Yeah, honestly, it was basically just because what else do I have to talk about with the Spurs?
They lose a lot. They lose a lot.
That they do.
They lose.
They definitely do
a lot. It's funny.
It's okay. The Pistons are doing more.
It's funny to see some of the discussion about Victor, where people are like, "I don't know, I just expected more," and it's like, okay, but he's still putting up some pretty damn good numbers most nights. He doesn't look great minute to minute, but he's also just playing with a garbage ass teams. So what do you want?
And it's not. It's a broken
rookie
roster
still.
thing. It's a broken roster, and they know it. They damn well know they're running out of broken product. That's a project at best. There's no excuse.
There was no expectation for this to look competitive. Yeah, it's just about getting him in there, getting him warmed up.
Yeah, and my guess is the Spurs will look way more competitive in the second half of the season when they've already taken so many losses that it's easy to start just playing basketball again. That's when I would expect you to start seeing all that good stuff. And he's still going to be Rookie of the Year, most likely.
I mean, unless he gets hurt. If he just keeps doing what he's doing right now, he's good. Even then, he may. Joel Embiid almost won Rookie of the Year, and he barely played his fucking Rookie of the Year. I think there is decent enough competition, at least so far.
So, they're going to go get Isaiah Collier with the first pick in next year's draft, right? Does that happen?
I'm not. I haven't watched any of the kids. I think
winning the lottery 2 years in a row.
I think that if the Spurs were to win the lottery, or if I had to guess, there's actually a Spurs player there, or two. I think there's actually two international guys that play in America already, and one of them is like Matthias Bozelis or something like that. And he's a whole freak. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a whole sideshow to put next to your other sideshow. So. Maybe Isaiah Collier is a really nice prospect as a point guard, but I wouldn't exactly them just to pick a point guard when you can easily get one. They're intentionally not playing a point guard. It's not necessarily a need. They're intentionally doing this. Like that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. Is like Trey Jones is perfectly capable. Malachi Branham is perfectly capable of a trial run at point guard. Point Sohan is tanking. I can't tell it any other way. Like they're getting away with it. They're getting away with the tank. It's blatant. But anyway, I'm done. We're wrapping up. We've done enough.
All right, boys. Well, good luck to your teams this week. I'm excited to have a week to not watch football and stuff. Maybe I'll actually catch a basketball game, but unlikely because my team's terrible and I'll just watch the highlights later.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, if you're gonna watch one, don't make it the Spurs.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I did watch all 3 hours of that Vikings game, but there's only 17 of those a year, so.
Yeah,
that's fair.
No, very fair.
All right,
gentlemen.
Guys, everyone like, subscribe, share, comment. Comment's important. Start talking shit to people in the comments. I want us to have to start banning people.
Yeah, get mad at me for my dumb opinions.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Call me a fucking homer and a hater, please.
Call me out by my name. Tell me about my ancestors, whatever you want to do. People say
this is Past the Rust.